All right, so you booked a cruise. Now comes to the part that nobody wants to talk about. What do you do in the couple weeks before to help get ready?
All right, so we're going to talk about how to get to the port, what to pack, your dining reservations, excursions, you name it.
Okay, let's get into it.
Yeah. So, first things first, how are you going to get to your cruise terminal? Depending on where you're coming from or where you're going, it depends on how you know you're going to get there.
If you're flying in, you need a game plan for that. And then how are you going to get from the airport to the actual port? Are you going to take a taxi? You can take an Uber. If you're in Florida, the Bright Line might be a good option. All that depends upon where you're at and where you're going to go from, and you need to look into that before you get down there.
If you're driving, some ports might have official parking, but you need to look into that. Sometimes they do have a cheaper option, like a ride and go type option, but you need to just look and uh, evaluate your port.
Yeah. We normally sail out of Fort Lauderdale. And even in Fort Lauderdale, if you're driving into the port, remember you got to have your passport, your identification, all that handy to even get into the port on some days. So make sure that all that's handy and it's not packed away in your bag somewhere in the back of the car.
Yeah.
All this is things to think through, but you need to get into that habit of looking at that and thinking about that before you actually get down there.
All right, so now we're going to touch upon packing. You need to know what kind of essentials that you need, but sometimes you can really get off the rails and overpack or even underpack.
Yeah. So remember, there's always some things, that's essentials you can buy at the shop on the boat, but it's very limited the number of things that they have, and everything they do have is pricey.
There are a few things that we always pack. For example, we always normally take our own convertible coffee container. So their coffee cups tend to be kind of tiny. We're big coffee drinkers in the morning, so we like to carry those around. Also, it kind of helps and doubles up later in the afternoon, whether you want to fill that up with your beer or whether you want to fill it up with your water. You can always take that with you. Also, in every single cabin on most of the ships, there's a tiny light that is outside of the bathroom. So at night, it tends to go off as soon as you pass it. It's got a sensor on it. So we like to pack like a duct tape type of thing.
Or painter's tape.
Yep. And you just put that right over the sensor. So then that way it doesn't bother you every single time it goes off in the middle of the night as you're going to the bathroom.
Yes.
Also, I like to pack sanitizing wipes.
So
Mainly just for the cabin. We're not necessarily germaphobes per se, but I do like to wipe down at least one time, the remote, the door handle, just like surface areas. And then finally, I do like to always pack kind of a big tote. That is great to take by the pool. I use that actually as my carry on. And then, of course, if you're going to do an excursion of some sort, it doubles up for that too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, good things. So trust me, you want to make a list, and you want to pack by that list so that you know you got everything that you were planning.
Save it to your phone, even in your notes app. So then that way, if you become a frequent cruiser like we do, it's always there. All right, so once your cruise is booked, first thing you need to do, download the Princess app to your phone, whether that is an Apple phone or an Android.
Yeah. So once you've got that app on your phone, familiarize yourself with it. Look at all your different options. It's easy to make your dining reservations on there.
Yes.
And there's lots of other things you can do. I don't think you can book excursions, but you can go through and look at what excursions are available. Woo, got a storm coming in here in South Florida, thunder. But you can look at all that, and it's good to go ahead and familiarize yourself with the app so that you know how to use it before you actually get on the boat, because you're going to have to go from 0 to 60 with familiarity there pretty fast.
Yeah. All right. Also, with Princess, they have a great feature called a medallion. So once you go through your check-in process via your app, you also do have the option to do it on your browser, just in case you're not app friendly. But you're going to want to go ahead and order your medallion. So have that delivered to your home. Hopefully, unless you've booked a last minute cruise, get that delivered to your home, because that's going to save you some extra time. That's going to actually put you in what they call the green lane. So you're going to be able to go right through as you check in for your cruise. You're going to avoid that line to actually pick up your medallion like other people have to do. You're going to go straight onto the ship as soon as you go through security.
Listen, This is a great idea, and it's going to make getting on the boat a whole lot easier. Please, please make sure that those medallions are on your person and not in your bag.
Yes.
Okay, worst case scenario, you get to the port, your bag gets on the boat, and you can't get on the boat because you don't
It's in
have
your
your
bag.
medallions.
Yeah.
Okay, so make sure they're on your person.
Make sure it's in your carry-on, your purse, or even go ahead and put it on as you're heading to the port itself.
Great idea.
Yeah.
Listen, never fails every single cruise. We meet someone at a bar that second or third day is talking about trying to book a spot at one of the specialty restaurants.
It's the most frustrating part if you don't do this ahead of time. Again, once you've downloaded your app, you can go right away and book your dining reservations. Sometimes, if you've booked it, let's say 300 some days ahead of time, you might have to wait. So, don't necessarily try to book that ahead of time. However, if you're within like 100 so days of your cruise, go ahead and go on that app and go ahead and make those dining reservations for either your specialty dining or even the dining room.
Yeah, yeah. And then use the app to look at all the other places. You're going to get reservations for the specialty dining, but there's also some casualty dining that isn't necessarily main dining room, but you're going to want to familiarize yourself with the time they open, the time they close, because lines do seem to form, and you might want to get there at the earlier part so that you make sure to get a seat if that's something you really want to do.
And with the casualty dinings, you cannot necessarily make those reservations ahead of time. We advise, though, we like to look ahead and just look at the itineraries and figure out maybe is there certain days that we want to go ahead and grab lunch there or dinner. If they see days, they do offer lunch at the casual dinings. But for your dinner reservations, you cannot do those ahead of time. But at least if you look ahead at your itineraries ahead of time, you can know what times you want to try to go there. Worst case scenario, you're going to get there, have a little bit of a wait. They will give you a little pager. It does not normally take that long, guys. So, but I would just at least think about the nights that you want to do that.
Yeah. Definitely, if it's something on your list, avoid doing it on a sea day because it will get a little more crowded on a sea day than it does on a port day when everyone's off the boat.
Yeah. But again, go ahead and make those dining reservations, at least for your main dining rooms and for your specialty dinings, as much in advance as you can.
It's going to make for a much better experience.
Yes. Okay, so now you've gotten on your cruise ship and then you're heading to the ports. Now what? They can be really exciting, but don't, again, wait for the last minute to decide what you're going to do for these places either. A little research goes a long way.
Yeah, exactly. So you're going to want to look through in the app, see what they have to offer. If you can't book it ahead of time, once you get on the boat, if you know what you want, go straight to the excursion desk because some of these places do sell out. Okay, so make sure to get that there early and get your reservation in.
We're not necessarily big excursion people. However, we do like to look ahead of time and at least get a map or explore the island itself and figure out where we would like to go if we want to go off the boat. He's a big time runner. I'm necessarily not, but that's the kind of stuff that you want to look for ahead of time. If you really want to look up some breweries, some bars, restaurants, things like that, look for that ahead of time. We'll go into it, but Wi-Fi is available on these princess ships, but sometimes it's better to look for these things while you know you have ample time and you have great Wi-Fi from home. So we just say research before you get off the boat or before you even get on the boat.
It makes the whole process a whole lot better.
Yeah.
If you can't find anything else, almost every single port has a little section right off the boat where you can get off, walk around, do a little shopping, stretch your legs. And it's nice just to get off the boat for a little bit, grab a drink, and then get back on the boat.
Yeah. Also, U.S. State Departments have a great resource. We'll put that link down into the bottom here so that you can choose those so that if you have any questions or if you just are looking for another resource for any of those ports, we'll have that link down at the bottom for you guys to click on too.
Yeah, some ports are safer than others, so it's always a good idea to check that State Department website. It kind of does fluctuate from time to time. And if there is an advisory where they, it's best not to, go astray or go off without a designated excursion, it's good to know, and that's a good place to check.
Lastly, weather can affect a lot of things. So I would just suggest have a plan, but maybe have a loose plan. Worst case scenario, if the weather's terrible, You've got a great ship to be on, you guys, and they're going to always have activities there too.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So you've made it on board. So how do you kick off the cruise the right way?
Yeah. Your first day at sea kind of sets the tone for your entire weekend. And just a little bit of planning goes a long way. We kind of tend to do the same thing every time when we get on board. So as soon as we get on board, we like to find our favorite bar, which is usually Crooners, grab a drink if somebody's there, kind of give the bartender a decent tip so he knows to look out for you later on. And then we usually head up to the pool deck and find us a spot at one of the pool bars.
You don't want to miss the sail away celebration, so make sure you check that out, especially if you've never done that before. Like Will said, we do like to check in with those bartenders that we're going to know that we're going to go back to infrequent. Second thing that you're going to make sure you want to do, especially with Princess, you're going to want to check in with your muster station, and then also there's going to be a required safety video that they're going to want you to watch. The video itself, you can either watch in your stateroom. So once your cabin is ready, you can go and you can watch those on the TVs in your stateroom. Or once you get on board with the app that we suggested that you guys download before you get on the cruise ship, you're going to be able to watch that also once you get on board via your app. So even if you're at a bar or if you're poolside, you can watch your safety video there. But you are going to need to check in with that muster station, so make sure you check out where that's going to be too.
Listen, there's a couple things that if you want to do them, you need to get to them as soon as possible once you get off the boat or on the boat. The first one is the sanctuary. If that's something you want to do, we're planning on doing that here on our next trip. If you want to, as soon as you get on the boat, head to the sanctuary to get a reservation. You can't do that till you get on the boat.
Yes.
Another thing is if you're planning on swimming at any time, once you first get on the boat, if you've got kids that want to get in the pool, any of that, make sure you pack those swimsuits, pack a towel and some kind of a carry-on or tote so that you have those with you.
Yeah. All right, so basically book what needs booking. If you did not get a chance to either get the kind of dining that you want, or if there's additional dining that you're looking for, or if there are excursions that you are looking for as well that you weren't able to do prior to boarding, those are the kinds of things that you're going to do as soon as you get on board so it doesn't book up quickly. And then after that, kick back and have a stress-free time. You are on a cruise ship. There is no work. There's all play. So please enjoy.
All right. So that's our cruise prep trip checklist. That's everything that we do prior to getting on a cruise, and we hope that helps you get ready for your next cruise.
We would really appreciate it if you guys would hit subscribe down on the button down here below, because as we get some more cruise tips and tricks, we'll be sure to post those, so please be on the lookout for those.
Yeah, drop a comment. Let us know what your favorite tip is. If we missed something that you think is crazy important, let us know. We'd love to hear from you.
All right, we're going to time to finish packing as we're heading off on our new adventure in the next 6 days. So if we don't see you guys, we'll see you soon.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
All right, so first things first, we got to figure out how you're going to get to the port. Depending on how you're... All right, so first things first, how are you going to get to the point?